Cheat Code.
Welcome to Pickleball Cheat Code, the show for competitive pickleball players who want to level up their game. We focus on advanced strategies for experienced players, stuff only the pros really know. I'm Brodie Smith. I'm a 5.5 level player and a coach, and I'm here with my co-host, the one and only Tanner Tomasi.
Hey, everyone.
Tanner is a 6.0 rated player and an APP gold medalist. Today, we are covering when to stack versus when not to stack and all the details about stacking in general. At the end of the episode, we will be addressing questions from our audience, which will be exciting. So be sure to leave your comments. We'll be able to get around to that in future episodes as well. And then if we've done anything to improve your game, feel free to share our show and our podcast to people within your pickleball community. All right, pickleball is like chess, Tanner. We all know that. It's a game of chess. It's a game of moving pieces around. It's a game of strategy. That's why we love it. That's what makes it so unique versus other games like, tennis, basketball, whatever it may be. Not that there's not strategy in those. Point being, pickleball with strategy, poor strategy like before and during a match can just completely night and day change your results and your execution out there. And one of the most important aspects of your strategy in pickleball, at least to me, and I think it's probably the number one, is stacking, when to stack, when not to stack. It's such a unique aspect of the sport, and it's just another layer that makes it so exciting for whatever reason. It's just a cool part about the game. And in general, I think the easiest way to summarize it is that stacking is all about maximizing your strengths and hiding your weaknesses. That's how I would define it to somebody in terms of like why you were to do it and why not. So I want to break this down a lot further and really dive into the rabbit holes of stacking with you. So to kick things off, let's chat when to stack. For you, stacking is a huge part of your game. For people that don't know, 99% of people do here is that Tanner is a lefty. So for you, how do you handle are you always stacking as a lefty and you're always playing your right side, like no matter who you play with? Like, how does that work for you? Tell me about your experience as a left side player.
Yeah, as a left-handed player.
Thank you.
I just didn't want people to get confused. As a left-handed player, I always stack and play the right side of the court. I am never willingly playing the left side of the court. The only time I'll play the left side of the court is if, say, we're unstacked, meaning I'm on the left to start, they serve it to my partner, and they hit a really good serve, and he hits a really bad return to serve. Then we'll stay for that point, and we'll play. I'm on the left side, and my partner's on the other. But even then, like, if, say, my partner handles it, we get up to the line. If there's an opportunity for me or my partner to hit a dead dink or just a dink that gives us time, we'll say switch and then switch back sides in the middle of the point.
Ooh.
Just because you're at a massive disadvantage not stacking if you're a lefty. In general, stacking, it's not as big, but if you're a lefty and you don't stack, big disadvantage.
I feel like that's such an overly advanced tip, which I love, is the midpoint switch. How often do you do that? I remember when Ben and Colin did it once and it was a big deal and like everybody was talking about it and they timed it perfectly and it looked like a piece of art, but I personally never see it. Do you do that often at all?
Not often.
Yeah.
I'm rarely unstacked. The only time that like we would do that switch really is like, this is like the key time. Say my partner does get up to the line and like the opponents are hitting a reset from the middle of the court. So like we're able to hit down and like slam that ball. Then that gives us time to switch. Or like if we're in an endless, just a long dinking rally, 2-3 shots, like I'll purposely, like as I'm about to hit the ball, just say switch and then hit it a little higher than normal and a little shallower. So it'll give us time. In a tournament, I don't think I've ever done it in practice a lot. But like I'm rarely in tournaments on the wrong side, maybe once or twice per tournament. So like we just rather test our odds playing it out,
Do you ever feel under pressure, a little panicked when you're unwound and you're stacked in the middle of a match and like, you're at the kitchen and they're trying to because they know you're not where you want to be. Are they attacking your backhand, for example, or attacking the middle maybe because the middle's two backhands, right? I feel like middle would probably be the best way to cause fits.
Yeah, I definitely feel a little bit of pressure because obviously I don't practice with my partner like that. So like there could be some confusion on who takes what ball. So if you're playing against a team that's unstacked, like say I'm on the wrong side, you want to target the middle of the court because there's confusion and it's the backhands. What you don't want to do is hit it out wide because it's the forehands. You can be tricky from out wide with your forehand, as well as like, I know if you're hitting it out wide to my forehand, like it's my job to hit the ball. Whereas if you hit it in the middle, there's going to be some confusion with the partner of like, oh shoot. So the kind of way that we counteract that, like with my partner, is let's say I hit a cross court dink. I overly make myself a presence in the middle because I can lean in with my forehand. So like they could dink it behind me, but it'd be really unlikely. So like I'm planning myself in the middle. So it's like there's zero confusion with my partner that I'm the one getting it,
In general though, like when you are properly stacked, like how do you handle who gets the middle ball, like from a drive that goes dead center from the middle of the court? Is that something that you, for example, you and Richard break out before as part of your strategy since you guys know you're going in there stacking?
Yeah.
Or is that something that there's like a rule to follow of respecting the X, for example, which is another good talking point too?
Yeah, it probably depends on the team a little bit. I know for our personal strategy, and I assume the majority of other lefty-righty teams, whoever's just at the net first takes the ball like in the middle.
Yeah.
So like if my partner's running in off of his return, even if he's like at the line, just since I was there first, like I'll snag that first ball. That way, like there's no confusion in that aspect.
Yeah. That makes sense. And then, because when you want to cover that middle and your partner's trying to work their way to the kitchen, how much court are you covering? Are you like straddling over that center line? I mean, it's going to depend where the ball is, of course, but as long, I guess the answer is, now that I'm saying out loud, is that you need to be as far middle as you can, as long as you're not sacrificing your line. I feel like is the simplest way to put it.
Yeah, like the way that I like to do it is I'll just like bait it pretty much, where if I know my partner's like late getting up to the line, I'll kind of hold my ground. But like the second they hit their drive, I'll take over like I'll be able to cover like 4 or 5 more feet to my side by just like one step. So I can kind of wait there, show them like, oh shoot, they have a wide open target there. But then I just kind of pounce over and my partner knows that I'll do that. So that's a little bit of a way to hide it rather than plant myself in the middle and then they have options to go behind me.
Gotcha. Do you feel like as a lefty that you have almost an advantage since lefties are more niche, like just as a player growing into the sport?
Oh yeah.
You're more sought after as a partner, right? Because people want that righty lefty combo where there's 2 forehands in the middle. And I guess my question beyond that too is to layer on top of that is that more effective having 2 forehands in the middle than not, right? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think having a lefty on your team in general is just it's such an advantage because people kind of go into like airplane mode when they play. Like they don't really have to think. Like they've seen the same patterns. It's righty, same exact thing. You know what works. You know what doesn't. You can sub at like a certain level. You can kind of sub people in and out, and the same stuff works. The same stuff doesn't. When you have a lefty, say there's a lefty you're going against, like say me, when you go to hit a shot that maybe you normally would, you have to like give it that extra thought before you hit it of like, oh, is it just forehand? Oh, is it not? And then if you hit it, which it's normally somebody's backhand and it's my forehand, you always say like, oh shoot. And then it makes you think even more. So I think just having the lefty just causes so much more like brain power to be used on the other team where they're not as comfortable.
As you know, I struggle with brain power because I'm an idiot, but I'm telling, that happens to me all the time. I was thinking the last time I played is that I hit a speed up that I would like normally just love. But right when I hit it, I was like, it's the best speed up I've ever hit in my life. And then I was like, oh shit, it's a lefty. And it just gets close. I'm like, I hate myself. I hate the sport. I'm never playing again. Yeah. It's probably nice to have for you. I feel like it's probably a fun little weapon of just, that's how you play. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know for me, like in doubles, it doesn't really bother me much because I kind of like thinking aggressively. So lefty, righty doesn't matter. But in singles, I do not like playing lefties. I'm just like, oh. And then I'm saying to myself, like, oh, wait, this is how people feel every single time on the court. This is what somebody thinks every time. Like, I need to get better at singles.
That's hilarious. Another question is, so like, let's say you're playing with a girl. Are you staying on the right side still? Cause you still want your forehand in the middle? Cause I'm speaking of when to stack, another common time that we see stacking almost all the time at the pro level is a guy girl combo. The girl's typically on the right, the guy's typically on the left. So for you, you're playing the right as a lefty, right?
Yeah, so exactly. So I'm always going to stay with my forehand in the middle.
Yeah.
However, you'll see across pickleball as a whole, it doesn't matter, PPA, APP, MLP, whatever, lefties inherently are worse at mixed. Like they just don't do as well ever. And I'll tell you the reason is so if I'm lefty, I'm playing the right side of the court, and my female partner, it's mixed doubles, is playing the left side of the court, and she's righty, obviously. So we have our forehands in the middle. However, most females, their game isn't backhand flick heavy, whereas all males are backhand flick, take balls out of the air heavy. So what happens is, if I have my partner, she ends up getting pinned in the corner because she can cross court dink with the guy, cross court from her because it's a male cross court. But the issue is she's dinking and that guy's looking for flicks and she's just looking to put the ball back in play. Everybody. That's always how it is. And then if she tries to go in front of her, she has a girl with her forehand on the outside of the court, so they can be tricky on the outside. So there's no safe spot. It's just very difficult. The only thing would be like a mutation where like my partner just gets an unbelievable backhand flick. Then like we'll win everything.
A mutation. So is this why you don't have a mixed medal yet? Is it because you're a lefty?
I take the blame. I have to get better, but I do think just lefties as a whole inherently struggle because it's just when you don't have that flick on the side, it's very easy to get pinned into that corner. The strategy, though, I know this is going all over, but I'll just end it here with this.
Let's let it rip.
The strategy in mix that works best, and Mari Humberg is actually the one who told me this, and then I kind of experimented with it, and I'm like, ooh, that's great. It's your partner, so it'd be my female, has to dink cross with the guy and just go behind the guy to open up the court and make him like think that he gets attackable balls just because like he's getting so many looks. And then he attacks right into me. My hands are my strength. But if he's attacking balls from real low or balls that are bouncing, I'm probably going to be on them. But if like my partner's hitting high dinks, like there's zero chance. Like she has to go behind him, but hitting good low dinks.
Mari's dinks are insane, right? Doesn't she have like that heavy
She's good. She puts a lot of cut. It puts pressure.
So much cut on it. It's nasty. It's one of the best cross-court dinks I've ever seen. It's ridiculous.
She's really good, but you even see her like she's gone far and mixed, obviously. But those teams, like lefty teams, aren't dominating by any means, or even making it to the finals. Like very rarely.
True. Yeah. I mean, I guess just to summarize is like, I mean, because to take a step back, we're talking about like when to stack, and just to summarize that point of guy girl. We've touched on this before. I mean, it's just obvious that. Of why we see that is that typically just the guy has more size and more length and more reach. And that's all it really comes down to, and a little more put away power. So they want to cover as much zone as they can with their forehand in the middle. And then we see like the insane dinks from like Annalie and Anna Bright, just their cross court rolls when they're stacking because they know their role and they play off the line a little bit too. It's just a match made in heaven. It just works well. And then the other time we see stacking, or another time of when to stack in general, is when you have an aggressive player and a defensive player. Let's say they're both righties, for example. I think it makes the most sense to put the aggressive player on the left side and then the defensive player on the right side. I feel like that's a general rule of thumb to follow. And reason being, if you have two righties, the aggressive player on the left side has that ability to come in, play big, cover that whole middle of their court with the forehand. Whereas if you're on the right side, you're not able to play big and have massive counters, for example. It's a lot harder. And you can get a little trickier on the left side. But I don't know if that's how you see it as well. But I think just aggressive and defensive is just a simple way to look at it, depending on, when you're finding a partner, for example.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I'd say that's spot on. The only thing I would add is, like I was kind of saying earlier, like it's kind of on, people get like on airplane mode where they're like, like just monotonous going through the motions. They see the same shots. I think that's why like Ben and Colin Johns were so dominant, because they had that style locked down. It was a very dominant very dominant player, very defensive player. And now you see Gabe and Hayden kind of came up with this very aggressive right-sider, right-siding play style, aggressive, attacking everything, taking a lot out of the middle with their backhand, forehand, everything. Whereas this doesn't, like you can't play them on airplane mode, like it's a new shot people haven't seen. So like it's not figured out yet, which is why there's so much success. Obviously they're very good. I'm just saying it's a new style that people haven't seen. So nobody really knows how to play that yet. And there's not a lot of people doing it. So they're not getting many looks at it.
Yeah, that's actually a note I had to touch on and kind of wrap this episode up. So it was specifically Ben and Colin versus Ben and Gabe and their unique relationships of the strategy of stacking with somebody like Colin on the right, who's not going to miss a dink. he's just going to get the ball back and neutralize it every time. And he has great counters too. People try to speed up on him. He just claps it back with his backhand, does a really good job sliding and closing his line. And it's just a super effective strategy that helped them dominate for years, which is crazy. And then now, like you said, you see Gabe on the right with Ben. It's like, or Hayden, for example, and it's such a different, unique style. And it comes down to rethinking the way of playing to your strengths and playing to your weaknesses, and applying the strengths that Gabe has on the right versus the other strengths that Colin had on the right. And they're able to completely reformat of like who takes what space, because Colin played off the line a lot, right? He wanted Ben to come in and step over and take those shots and play big. Whereas Gabe is playing on the line and he's not letting that ball sink. He's looking for those crazy flicks. He's got some length to him too. So it's just like, what's the meta of pickleball? Where is it going? It's like, I feel like stacking regardless though is finding that way to play to your strengths and weaknesses, but to what extent, I'm getting philosophical.
Yeah, I think just to wrap up on that, stacking is so important because especially when you're in a match, is you're playing the same side. So like you can get into a rhythm with your partner where it's like, if you're playing, me and you were playing, and then say we're both righties, and we're just like flip-flopping every point. You can never get into rhythm because it's like 1 point, the point's over, then you switch sides. 1 point, switch sides. So it's hard to like lock things in. Where it's like, me as a lefty, I only practice the right-hand side. I will never have to play the left-hand side. So I inherently can practice more efficiently because I have more looks on this side than anybody. Because I know for sure where it's like you're like, I love the left, but I might be playing the right. So let me practice on there.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's such different shots from each side, like being able to fully dial in and perfect your cross-court dinks from the left versus doing it on your forehand from the right side are just two completely different skill sets. And being able to hit your dinks at 95% accuracy on your right side versus 98% accuracy on your other side is going to change that one extra ball that's going to change the match. It's like those little differences of what you're working on and sharpening and what iron you're sharpening just changes everything. I love it. And then my last point of when to stack is, I think we covered the main ones there. Of when to stack is another one is like when you're in a rut. Let's say you're just playing freely and maybe you're playing rec, for example, or you're in a tournament and you're playing straight up and you're switching constantly and something's just not working. It's like, you know what, let's just try something. And then this is the inverse too, of like when not to stack. If you're in a rut as well, stop stacking. I don't know if you ever do that too. Like, do you do that? Yeah. I was going to say, I feel like it's just good just to turn it off or turn it on. So it's like leveraging the stack to whenever you're in a rut, either way, good or bad, stacking, not stacking, like just do it as a mix up option, see what happens, see what kind of groove you're going to get into. Yeah, I don't know. And what's funny is I used to play strictly free. Like I hated stacking. I loved being able to play open on both the left and both the right. And I felt like I wasn't locked into one side and I was in a groove, which is true to an extent. It's nice to have the whole court just to kind of, get your bearings down and get into a flow state. I feel like it's easier to get into a flow state when you're playing all around and jumping around. But I've noticed the higher level I play, it's like you really do need to be specialized in one side and consistently stacking. I mean, that's why like every pro team stacks. Is that fair to say? Like, are there pros that aren't stacking right now?
I don't know. I mean, the only team that could be doing it is like, I don't even know, but I'm saying like a team where they both like the left and they're a newer partnership. So like, let's just stack, figure it out, and then, or let's just play straight up, figure it out, and then we'll stack once like somebody's more in a groove.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, so going on to when not to stack, the very first thing I had that I wanted to mention is new partnerships. It's like you want to feel things out. We want to just take everything and see how it goes, see what our strengths and what our weaknesses are, because you don't know until you're out there. I mean, you might think you have the best backhand dink, but then you realize your partner has the best backhand counters and they should be on the right countering and being a defensive wall. That's a common trait I see for really good players on the right side, by the way, is those players that are like a wall and you can't speed up a ball on them, put them on a right. Like that's such a unique skill to have. So if you're playing with two righties, have that person on the right side. That's a really effective strategy. And then when not to stack as well, you and your partner are equally both just as strong on the left and the right. Like it's the same thing. You don't really know who has what skills, and you guys are both just as good at hitting your forehand drive. You guys are both just as good at closing and transitioning into the kitchen. Like just play free, open it up. It doesn't have to be a stack every single time, but we always want to look for situations where we can and can't stack. Other thing I mentioned, we already talked about this, is, if things aren't working, just go back to neutral, stop stacking. That's a time when not to stack. And it helps you get out of your rut. You don't want to feel stuck. Another time is if you're playing rec, like, just go have fun, play both sides. Like, you don't need to stack. If somebody wants to, sure, but don't be that person that's like saying, hey, we need to stack. I see a lot of guys go out there and, like, just because they're playing with another girl, they tell them that we should stack right away. It's like, guys, you're playing rec. She's probably better than you on both sides anyway. Give it a rest. Like, stop trying to, people just try to impose their will and make everybody stack, and it drives me nuts. So only stack if both people want to. Don't stack and rec that much. It gets annoying. Cool. All right. We touched on this earlier, is half stacking. When does it make the most sense to do a half stack versus a full stack? Because for me, I think the only time half stacking makes sense is if you're playing against somebody that has a really big serve and you don't want to switch on that return.
Yeah.
That's the only time I could think of. Are there any other situations besides big serve that you should be half stacking?
No, just a team with a good serve and shake and bake. That's the only one that comes to my mind as well.
Yeah, because I mean, it just comes down to, because with that big serve, it's like people are going to make errors by trying to hit a perfect return and then run while they're hitting it, and their form gets messed up all the time. It's like they panic and they're like, all right, big serve's coming. I got to hit this perfectly timed shot and then make my way to the other side of the court. And then some people just aren't that fast. I mean, you might be in your 60s playing, and it's hard to unwind a stack and make it to the other side. Like, it's not a close stretch. So if you're not hitting a really high return, like, and you don't have the time to get set, don't do a full stack. Just stay half, stay in your court. As long as you're getting to the kitchen line, that's all that matters. You just have to be fast enough, I guess, is the main point I needed to make. Okay, cool. What would you say are some of the most key traits for a left side player versus a right side player? We touched on the length. We touched on being able to have like a big forehand. But what are some other areas that are overlooked between a strong right side player with a right hand forehand, and then same thing with the left side player with the left hand forehand?
The main characteristic, I think, is just like decision making and just IQ understanding of the game. Like, I have a friend here, for example. His name's Ridley. He's in like all my videos helping me create them and stuff. He started me when I was at like 3,000 followers. We met in Florida, and then he stuck with me ever since. We trained together. He's getting into tournaments now. Great player. He's trying to figure out, should I play the left? Should I play the right? He is super fundamentally sound. That's his like best strength. Just very good at everything. His worst weakness is like decision making. Like, from the left, he's really good form on everything, but he can't really create. So like when he plays on that side, it's like nothing really happens unless he has a right side player that's like hyper aggressive. Otherwise, like, he won't really do too much, but he'll never make a mistake and has aggressive things, everything, but just lacks when to attack, where to attack. When he plays the right, he's perfect because his brain, like, he doesn't need that. He just needs to do what he's good at, just make the balls. So I think like being able to have like that creative, like problem solving mind is more important if you're going to play the left. On the right, like, you don't necessarily need that. You can kind of just be like a robot, just making every shot. But on the left, you do have to like see the game more like a quarterback.
So let's say you were a righty, Tanner. What side would you play, do you think? I feel like based on that description, I mean, obviously you could play both and crush it. That's not the question. But like, if you had to pick, I feel like you're more fundamentally sound and you're not super offensive. You're more of like the counter type player and consistency based. So I feel like you'd be right side.
I would play the right. I like when you play the right also, you can get better partners because the better players normally play the left. Or like they want to play the left and be more alpha, which I'm fine with. I always like kind of want to be like a role filler where it's like I just make sure like you're playing well and like I'll always carry my weight. I just want my partner to always do well, and then I'll kind of just always fill in. So I would play the right and kind of just make sure my partner's doing their thing, and then I just counter them to make them balanced.
I love it. Yeah, it's all about strengths and weaknesses, like you said. And I think that main one, it's like it's between the aggressive player and the non-aggressive player, and like who's able to create on the left versus who wants to be consistent and just getting through the motions in general. But then like we see players like Gabe who are changing the status quo of what that right side player means. So it's really interesting. I'm curious what the meta will be in 4 years from now. Like, are we going to be seeing more consistently that Colin Ben type relationship, or are we going to be seeing more at that top pro level of that Gabe Hayden, that Gabe, Ben? Like, where do you think the game's going to go naturally?
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious too. I have no idea. I think like 4 years in pickleball, it's like over a decade. It's just so hard to know.
Crazy. Yeah, no, that's the best way to put it. Cool. Well, let's wrap up here. I feel like we covered stacking really well in terms of, all the bases there and making sure we hit all the key talking points. So to wrap things up, we wanted to answer some questions from the audience. So if you guys are leaving comments on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you're listening to your podcasts, leave a comment. We also have a way to leave voice messages. So look in the description for that. We'll listen to your voice memos as well and be replying to those on a future episode. So some of the comments that we had, Tanner, I need your help answering these questions from the audience.
Let's do it.
We put some of these here and let's get after these. So one of them is from, I don't know if it's J.O. Hatch 9428. Joe Hatch will say his question was, or her question was, what's the best way to correct things once you figure out what it is you're messing up? I'm just not sure how to correct them to improve. What are your initial thoughts there?
I would say the main thing is if you know what to fix, you don't know how to get better at it is the drills. I mean, that's a pretty obvious answer, but I think that's what it is. Like if your backhand dink form really suffers and you're like, man, my backhand dink is just terrible. The only way you're going to get better is by doing a bunch and a bunch and a bunch of reps. You can watch all the videos you want, but like once you're on the correct path, you need just the reps doing it or you'll struggle with improving.
I think that's a good point. And then also I think they're afraid to make changes in their game. Like if they want to adjust and think everybody naturally wants to stick with what's comfortable. So I think the biggest piece of advice on top of obviously just reps, which is the number one thing, is the number two thing is to completely overcorrect what you're doing right now. So like, let's say you're not good at hitting your third shot drops because you're not getting low enough. Put your butt to the ground and start hitting your drops that way. Like completely change how you're approaching your type of shot to completely overcorrect your technique and your form, completely changing your footwork because people are trying to do these little micro movements. The people that learn the fastest when I coach are the ones that are immediately making massive changes, like right when I tell them to make a switch. So I think that's the most important thing is trying to make massive overcorrections and then drilling with those corrections. Next question from Jake G8B9Q. Cool numbers and letters at the end there. Probably lots of Jakes on YouTube. Jake's question is, what's the technique for the roll drop? And funny enough, you actually just did a video on this, right? The drip. Yes. I think roll drop is the same as the drip. So I'll let you take it away. You broke it down really well in your last video.
Yeah. The technique to doing a drip or drop drive combined is you basically want to combine the form of like a third shot drop and a forehand drive. Now, like, what does that mean? A forehand drive, your arm is like snappy. You're trying to generate power. So your arm is very loose. Third shot drop, your arm is very stiff. You're using your shoulder to hit the third shot drop. So when we combine them, we basically want to hit like a drive with a stiff arm. So like when our arm is stiff and we come over the ball with our wrist, it's going to cause the ball to just be more like droppy, but with speed. So it's very stiff arm, but swinging like a drive, if that makes sense.
That makes sense.
70% power, prioritize getting the ball to dip by having the paddle angle closed, having your arm tight.
Now that I'm rereading it, I think he actually means, because I misled you by saying it was a drop drive, but he said roll drop. So I think he's meaning like a heavy topspin drop is what he means. So I misled you. But the drip, that's a good tip. And I love that. And I'm glad I brought that up because we actually should have talked about that last episode with being aggressive. But roll drop, I love, and I guess I'll take over for the technique part of that. I think the key part of a good roll drop is getting your plant leg set really early. So getting behind the ball and making sure everything's out front. People try to roll drop by taking the paddle behind you too far and hitting it like a drive. I think keeping everything out front and having your paddle tip down is the most important thing. That topspin comes from your paddle tip being down and rolling your face up and being able to get around the ball that way and not trying to get topspin by coming like from the side of the ball, like a ping pong stroke. It comes from out front, low to high. That's how I get a ton of topspin on my roll drop. Let me know if I said that correctly.
No, I like that. That sounds good to me.
Love it. Okay, cool. Other one. The last question here is from M_Go Blue. I'm assuming he means Michigan Wolverines. Shout out Michigan, go Blue. Question is the angles you should take or be when receiving and hitting in a hands battle. Thoughts?
That's the full question?
Yeah. So I guess the question would, just to summarize, be you're in a hands battle. What angle should you be taking, like when you're countering, and like where should you be going with the ball specifically? That was a comment from our hands battles episode that we did a while back.
Yeah, I think when you're in a hands battle, you always want to prioritize, like, is that what he's talking about? Like the angle of, you want to prioritize hitting the ball down, more of like that?
Yeah, I think so. It's just, I mean, yeah, that's how I'll take it from Mr. Go Blues.
I'm just going to take the approach, like, what should your approach be to when you're in a hands battle? When you're in a hands battle, you want to, sheer power doesn't necessarily win it. You want to think of it like a 1-2 punch, like you're hitting with the jab and then you come in with the right hook, or whatever. I don't know much about boxing, but so, yeah, you want to try and like, hit the ball down so the opponents are forced to hit up, so you can put away the next ball. Like hit down, then put away the next ball. If you go straight at your opponent's chest, they can hit down first at you. So every ball you should be trying to angle down. Of course, there's going to be some where they get it low to your knees or something and you have to hit up. But just know your base strategy is always try to hit down on them so they're forced to come back high.
We mentioned this before. You got to think of the game as like a teeter-totter, right? So if you're hitting it down, they have to hit that exact same angle back up. If you hit it flat here, they're able to hit it flat back neutrally. So that's why when you're hitting down on them, it forces them to hit back up. So it's like, I mean, I'm just regurgitating what you just said, but making it, when you think of it that way, it's like that 1-2 punch. You create that by going low one, and then that next ball has to come high. Then that's where you're going to have your opportunity to get that put away. Teeter-totter, folks. Teeter-totter. Going back to elementary school. Okay. Tanner, I love you as always. Say it back. Great chatting. Good episode. Keep up the travels here. Keep having fun. Keep grinding. And I hope I don't know if this is going to be releasing before or after your APP in Michigan, but if you don't get back-to-back gold, I'm replacing you with somebody else. Okay?
Sounds good.
It sounds good? You're supposed to say it sounds bad.
I'm going to get it. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, good point. All right. Good chatting, homie. Bye-bye.
Yeah.